Good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC here in a moment. First, the disclaimers and then the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shots campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be right there in the description box. We have Autistic Hoya's massive archive in regards to all things Judge Rotenberg Educational Center. The article written by Neuroclastic, the same one that JRC threatened a defamation lawsuit over, where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The JRC tried to intimidate them to get that article removed from the website. Neuroclastic refused, so please read it and share it on all your social media. We also have included in their Neuroclastic's GoFundMe, just in case the JRC ever sees through with their threat, because unlike them, we do not have access to unlimited sums of money. Trigger warnings. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and utilize the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity and do speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. So, where we left off, we're prepared for more gaslighting, more lies, and nonsense. FDA has previously admitted that there is a subpopulation of patients who will have no adequate treatment if the UFSD treatment is banned. No, they didn't. At no point in time. Now, I've had my eye on this for decades now. No point in time has the FDA ever made any type of admission that even remotely resembles that whatsoever. What the FDA conceded was that it might be a subpopulation of individuals that are more resistant in regards to the different forms of treatment. That is what they said, JRC. They at no point in time inferred that those kids will have no other treatment if the ESD is banned. That is your projection all over the place. In fact, the FDA made a point of the fact that there are centers such as ARC, as well as other providers that actually work with different treatment programs and plans once it's been decided through the means of going through the full functional behavioral assessment, that sometimes need a more tailored response than the general standard treatment types of plans and programs out there. Individuals like me who need the more non-traditional, person-centered type of therapy and plan circle of supports, as opposed to more along the lines of ABA. You have individuals that have a treatment program unique to themselves that have a couple bits of different types of treatment programs to best assist dealing with the specific triggers that are giving them the most issues. Also, again, the math isn't mathing. Even if we're talking about a subpopulation here, that would still be, small though it is, a subpopulation that will pop its head up in more places than just Canton, Massachusetts. So why aren't countries around the world blowing the JRC's doors down, trying to get those folks that they have that are more resistant to these standard types of treatment and programs to get their kids in there? JRC has never answered that particular question. It's because they're full of shit. Actuality, Those who are more resistant to treatment will sometimes need a lot more of a tailored response. It takes more time. It's not an instant fix. And like with most treatment programs, there's going to be good days and bad days. But overall, looking at the data, it's been successful. Nobody's trying to blow down the JRC's doors to put international kids inside their program because they're resistant to all other treatment. That is an absolute lie. That is not what the FDA said whatsoever. Projection, straws, I don't even know what to call that other than a bald-faced lie. Let's continue, shall we? Yet the FDA does not address the serious consequences for such patients when it assumes it will protect patients by banning ESD treatment. Yes, they did. Like, where were you? They even mentioned what the costs would look like to transfer these folks out of your program and into programs far more better suited to sanely and humanely treat them than you. They literally calculated out the costs for you. Okay? They absolutely did address that there may be a subpopulation that is more resistant in regards to the treatment programs that are more prevalent. I've explained how in those cases out here and elsewhere, we usually have a bit more tailoring, more of a customized treatment program as opposed to something more standard like general ABA, positive behavioral reinforcement, what have you, right? The FDA at no point in time is trying to sit there and say, well, no, there's no, because your treatment is awful, but we're just going to have kids with no treatment. That has never left their mouths at any point in time. Any point in time. At all. In regards to this subject, I have read just about every single thing that's came out of the FDA. That was something that has never been stated. They have addressed regards to the consequences of what we may be looking at here. Like with most kids who are brought out of abusive households, there is going to be some trouble right off the bat. Why? Because you've got kids processing through years and years of trauma while forcing themselves to suppress their feelings and mask 24/7 to at least try to minimize the abuse being inflicted upon them. Okay? The FDA in no way, shape, or form is looking to leave these kids abandoned. They stated very specifically what the different options are once the devices are banned. What the costs would look like, what the additional training would look like for direct care staff, which they absolutely do need because their entire training system is a joke. Just say. Yes, they are protecting the students, JRC, from you. And considering you've had count them, two separate UN special rapporteurs on torture, call what you do torture by means of that device. By removing said device, yes, they are actually protecting the students. They have provided several different avenues to you in regards to what to do with those kids. You're not mentioning any of them. But why should I be surprised about that, right? According to the FDA, vulnerable patients must be protected from the assumed and unproven risks of ESDs, but not from the proven physical and psychological damage caused by these patients' SIB and AB. Projection, nonsense, bullshit. Let's start that sentence, okay? It's not assumed when we have receipts. It's not assumed unproven risks when you've got multiple ER documents detailing the damage caused by those devices to those kids. Second and third degree burns. 2 months of one of the former students being in a catatonic coma after they shocked him over 31 times. Loss of feeling in the areas where the electrodes were stuck onto the kids. The blatant dismissal of a mother telling them to take the electrodes off her son's arms. They did not. So much for consent, right? Yeah. You can't tell people they're unproven risks when there's ER documentation showing not only are they not unproven, they've already happened. You can't lie, JRC, when we have literally all the receipts. All of them. Again, don't take my word for it. That's what Autistic Hoya's Massive Archive is for. Just click on the link. You'll see immediately what I'm talking about. Okay? Unproven my ass. But you don't talk about the psychological damage caused by SIB and AB. Yeah, they did. And they gave sane advice in regards to how to deal with that. But as usual, JRC, you don't want to hear it. You don't want to listen. Everybody else is stupid. We don't know what we're talking about and have never dealt with any kids like this ever. And the JRC is the only people who understand how these people need to be treated. This is absolute, utter insanity. It's ego run amok. It's Kool-Aid drinking at its worst. It's like watching any documentary I've ever watched on cults and cult-like behavior. Okay? Of course, they go to EL and RM, which funny you bring that up, because they are far too old to be in the type of program that you run at the JRC. Is it a school or not? Because if it's primarily a school that focuses on education, you have someone there that is 56 goddamn years old and has never been transferred over into adult services, never been evaluated through a full functional behavioral assessment, never even given the chance to go into adult services. And you're going to try and use these individuals to try and convince us that this is the only way. As I tell so many people all the time, sit down and shut up. ELRM and the third one that was also well over age, you have no business having on your premises. They should have been aged out of your system years ago. But they did, and it wasn't successful because you did everything in your power to make it unsuccessful. You provided nothing in regards to information when sending these folks to these new places. Your behavioral contracts are so vague that any person worth their salt in this field wouldn't look at it and not even know what the hell they were looking at or what they were supposed to do with it. Okay? They had no idea about the years and years and years of drama that you've inflicted on them. Perhaps if they had that information ahead of time, they could have prepped themselves and their direct care staff that this person might be confrontational towards any figure of authority due to the fact that the figures of authority at their previous placement had been torturing them for years on end. They would have been better prepared to deal with that type of situation. So, please, I'm not even going to read the rest of that gaslighting sentence. The moment you said the stories of EL and RM, you lost pretty much all credibility to even try to make this into a argument that makes any form of coherent sense. These folks do not need ESD treatment. They need sane, humane people who specialize in this field. They need full functional behavioral assessments as recognized by the rest of the entirety of the medical model to take place. And then decisions in regards to placement and treatment programs to then be made. After fully informing the individuals conducting the assessments in regards to what particular vulnerabilities there are, what kind of abuse has been suffered, so that the new placement will get a good heads up in regards to if they end up in a situation where these kids are being confrontational, they'll be better prepared to deal with it. But we're dealing with the JRC, who lie and lack all ability to engage in logical discussions of any kind ever. On that note, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close out for this one as well. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please, if you could, don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye, everyone.